It was the summer of 2019. I'd been out late drinking with a few friends. The kind of carefree night where you just wander through town, through neighborhoods, killing time, half sober, full of energy. The air was thick with humidity, cicadas singing their nightly chorus from unseen perches. Street lamps cast long shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Jake, Mia, Trevor, and I had spent most of the evening at O'Malley's, that dive bar on 4th Street with the sticky floors and dollar shots on Thursdays. We'd stumbled out around midnight, too wired to head home, but too broke to keep drinking, so we walked. No destination in mind, just the four of us laughing too loudly in the quiet residential streets, sharing cigarettes and inside jokes. We cut through Oakwood Park, past the elementary school, and into the labyrinth of identical suburban homes in the south part of town. Most windows were dark, everyone tucked away in their normal lives, while we existed in that strange, liminal space between drunk and sober, night and morning. Then Trevor stopped suddenly and pointed. "Look," he said, eyes narrowed at a bush near the front of someone's house. The property was well kept. Trimmed lawn, flower beds along the walkway, a wreath on the door despite it being July. The bush in question was a large hydrangea, its blooms ghostly white in the darkness. We all moved closer, our laughter dying in our throats. Sure enough, there was something in the bush, a shape, human maybe, but hunched, oddly still. At first I thought it might be a lawn ornament or maybe a trash bag caught in the branches. The longer we looked, the weirder it felt. The night seemed to grow quieter around us, the distant traffic fading to nothing. Then it made a sound, a warped, unsettling noise, like metal scraping against wet rubber. Hollow and high-pitched, but alive. It reverberated in my chest, setting my teeth on edge. We screamed, all of us. Then we laughed, nervous, stupid laughter that didn't quite mask our unease. Mia clutched my arm, her fingernails digging half moons into my skin. "Probably just some kid playing a prank," Jake said, his voice too loud in the sudden silence. Trevor nodded. "Or a raccoon. They make weird noises." We chalked it up to someone messing around. Maybe a prankster hiding to get reactions out of people. There were 5 of us after all, strength in numbers. We shrugged it off and walked home, each splitting off to our respective houses. Mine was a small 2-story on Maple Drive, where I lived with my parents when I wasn't at college. They'd left the porch light on. I fumbled with my keys, glancing over my shoulder at the empty street before slipping inside. I passed out easily. The buzz of alcohol dulled the night's strangeness as I collapsed onto my bed without bothering to change. Sleep claimed me immediately, dreamless and heavy. But then, I woke up. Not fully. My room was nearly pitch black. The soft glow of a street lamp outside barely touched the walls, casting everything in a sickly yellow hue. I tried to sit up, but I couldn't. My limbs felt leaden, unresponsive. My breathing quickened. Sleep paralysis. Again. I'd experienced it before, usually during periods of stress or after drinking. That helpless feeling of being awake but unable to move, sometimes accompanied by hallucinations. My doctor had explained it was relatively common, just the brain waking before the body, leaving you temporarily trapped. I tried to calm myself, focusing on my breathing. This would pass. It always did. I scanned the room with my eyes, slowly. Everything looked normal. My cluttered desk in the corner, laundry basket overflowing, posters on the wall, except for the silence. Too still, too dense, as if the air itself had thickened, muffling the world outside my room. Then the sound started. That sound, the one from the bush. Distorted, uneven, wet, and wrong. Coming from somewhere in the room. My heart hammered against my ribs. Sweat beaded along my hairline, despite the cool air from the ceiling fan. I strained against the invisible weight holding me down, desperate to move, to run. My eyes darted to the foot of my bed, and there it was. A face. No, a head, disembodied, grotesque. Its skin was stretched too tight, eyes bulging from their sockets. The eyes weren't right. Too large, too dark, without whites or pupils. Just obsidian orbs reflecting nothing. Its mouth hung open, frozen in that same warped noise. A noise that no throat should be able to make. But it wasn't floating. There was a body, but it blended into the darkness, like shadow given form. I could make out limbs, too many limbs, moving in ways that defied anatomy. It was crawling toward me, inching up the bed, face first, mouth wide. The sound was right there now, buzzing in my skull, vibrating through my teeth, making my ears ache. It wasn't just a noise, it felt like language. Something trying to communicate in a frequency humans weren't meant to understand. I wanted to scream, to move, to shove it away, but I couldn't. Tears leaked from the corners of my eyes as it approached, leaving trails of ice on my temples. It came inches from my face. I could smell it, a strange, metallic odor mixed with something sweet and rotting. Its breath felt wrong against my skin, not warm like a living thing, but cold and static, like air from a freezer. Its mouth stretched wider, impossibly wide, unhinged, like a snake about to swallow prey whole. The sound grew louder, unbearable, filling every corner of the room and every cell in my body. Then, gone. It vanished, like smoke in the wind. No fade, no retreat, just there, one moment, and absent the next. I let out a scream and flung myself upright, finally free from the paralysis. I scrambled to flick on my lamp, panting, drenched in sweat. My hands shook so badly I knocked over a glass of water on my nightstand, sending it crashing to the floor. The room was empty, silent again. Just my familiar belongings, now cast in harsh electric light. My phone showed 3:17 a.m. I sat there until dawn, back pressed against the headboard, afraid to close my eyes. When sunlight finally began filtering through my blinds, I stumbled downstairs to find my parents already at the kitchen table. Mom took one look at me and frowned. "Rough night? You look terrible." My voice was hoarse when I tried to speak. I told them what happened: the bush, the noise, the paralysis, the thing at the foot of my bed. As I spoke, the memory already began taking on a dreamlike quality, though the fear remained visceral and raw. They were unnerved. My dad agreed it sounded like sleep paralysis. He'd experienced it once when he was about my age. Said he'd seen a dark figure standing in the corner of his room, watching him. But they'd never heard of anything like that. Not the noise, not the face, not the feeling, and neither had I, until that night in the bush. "Probably just your brain playing tricks," Mom said, pushing a cup of coffee toward me. "You were drunk, had that weird experience outside, then your subconscious incorporated it into your sleep paralysis." It made sense. A logical explanation. I wanted to believe it. But later that day, I called Trevor. Asked if he remembered the bush from last night. There was a long pause before he answered. "Yeah," he said finally. "I had a nightmare about it." Mia and Jake said the same thing when I reached them. All of us with the same visitation, the same sound, the same paralysis. Whatever I saw, whatever had followed us home, it wasn't human. It wasn't a hallucination or a dream. It was waiting. And somehow, I know it's still out there, crouched in suburban hydrangeas, making that sound, watching, waiting for someone else to notice it, to acknowledge it. And I can't shake the feeling that one day, when it comes again, it won't disappear, that its mouth will close, that whatever happens next will be worse than the watching. I haven't walked through that neighborhood since, haven't dared to look too closely at any bush. But sometimes, when I'm falling asleep, I feel the silence thicken around me, and I wonder if tonight will be the night it returns.